Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Really nice of you to join us this afternoon. As I said, a couple of minutes just whilst we were getting ourselves sorted. I'm not standing in front of the board today because we're going to look at Lumio in a bit more detail. So I thought I'll do it straight from the computer and hence sharing the screen this afternoon. So we're going to look at, this is the last one in our Little and Often sessions. Obviously the rest are now posted on YouTube, so you can go back and see the rest of the series. But for today, as we kind of begin to finish this one off, we're going to look at this last one here. Project-based learning with Lumio. Hopefully looking at a way where, rather the other sessions, we've looked at how can we create content? How can we bring it in? How can we make it more accessible? How can we have it out there and doing within the lessons? We're now going to try and take that step back rather than creating it. It's, oh, now I've got it. How can I use this throughout the term, either for myself, so we can kind of run those multiple lessons in a series, or for the learners to be able to take it away and use it in Google Classroom, in Teams, or whatever it might be, and actually continue with that there as well. So that's the general overview. Brilliant. So we're going to jump on there. When we do join back, the one after this, I'm getting set at the end, it's going to be the 11th of January. So we're going to have a nice break after this for some festive cheer. So let's jump into Lumio. So this is my Lumio page here. This is my kind of library, as you've probably seen on the other calls. And this one here is full of my lessons, so that I can ready to teach these. You can see I've got them organized in folders. I've got my lessons, the recent ones at the top. These three are the ones I'm going to be looking at today up here. So we're going to do in those. We've made them, added games in them, whatever it might be. Now I actually want to deliver it for a lesson in a way that the students can take it home with them, continue that on a project-based learning. So I've just taken these three games here from a series of lessons that are stored into that Lumio library. So if you want to find these yourself, just click on the Lumio library there, scroll down to where it says history, and we've got that content up in there. So I'm not going to press play on the lesson. I'm just going to actually click on edit it, just so you can see that overview of it. So this is the kind of the beginning of the lesson, as we normally do. There's some introduction, there's some knowledge on it. But then this one here has been set up for, what do you know about the silk trade? So when the students are doing this, they can plan the route that they would take from one to the next. So then with an eye of this is the first one. We're going to do this individually or a whole class or a group. And then at the end of the project, they can come back in and say, well, how close was the route that I planned to the route that actually ended up going to in the end as well? So that's why we're looking at this one here. So if I just move that one out of the way there. And this one was automatically set up as a whole class activity. If I click on edit this activity, because all of these lessons are in the Lumio library, I can come in and edit them. I can add a title up here. I can give instruction, whatever it is. Those can be put into it itself. And it might be then that you say, right, we've all got to start here and we've got to end up here. Where's the route that's going to take? Or you probably add in a circle or something like that. I've just add on there. And then if I want to set this up, I've got a magic wand here. And then my magic wand here, in fact, this one I was going to do as individual at the beginning of the lesson, beginning of the project. So I'm going to set up an individual handout. And there we go. That's now set out for everybody as an individual handout, as then part of that lesson from there. So let's just say they've done that lesson. I've clicked start. We've had students interact with it. They've added their own comments on it. But actually, I want to then send that. I want to send that away with them so that they've got the ability to take that home, continue the games, continue the map, add more details to it. And that's where I'm going to put these three little dots here. In fact, I'm going to do it on the next one. What I was going to do in this one, I missed off, was edit. So also at the beginning of this one, as well as plotting the map, I wanted to know what they knew already about the silk trade. So for this, I was going to add in some different examples here. One I do really like, and I come back to using over and over again, this brainstorming activity one here. So I'm going to click on that one. I can add this one here. And then I can put Silk Road. I'm going to make that slightly larger. Excuse me. I'm going to select it all, and I'm going to change it to my personal favorite font, the open dyslexic font. So that's going to go in the middle. Let's just resize that a bit more. And what's really useful to do is when you are using with students is this drop-down menu here to lock it. So then that's locked and they add the content to the side around the outsides and they can't kind of move that one in the middle. So that's now locked in there, ready for them to add in that content around the outside. And I can change it automatically here to group work, individual work, but I think I'll probably do that just during the lesson anyway. So that's done. I can then gain their feedback, say they've done that a lesson. Let's maybe this one's as a group activity. That's ready to go. Then that lesson is then done. The students have gone that content. That is going to automatically save within my library. So when I finish that lesson, they can't go in and change it. Oh, I remember this part, whatever it is on here. And then you can then start your lessons. Now, it might be that you are actually going through file by file and actually you've got a folder. And then within that folder, for example, you've got all your different lessons about that particular subject, that particular area. I've just left them at the top here for now. I'll hopefully put them in a folder later on. But then this is this is the first one in the series after the introductory one. And then you can see here there's some knowledge. But in these parts here, here's just a chunk of text. Now, it's great that they can actually just read that text, but what I can do to it, if I change this to an individual handout, is now when I'm reading this, the students have got their own copy. So it might be that they want to go and choose to highlight certain parts of this. It might be that they want to go and write on this and actually say, forgot what I was going to put any bits and pieces now. I'm just going to put notes. It won't let me write in it. They can use that bit there, don't worry for now, and then they can add in different notes. We'll catch up in a minute. They can add their own notes on top of that, whatever it might be. Let's just go back to adding it with a pen instead. No, it's not very easy with a mouse. Notes, there we go. Whatever it might be, text, anything. So then they've got their own copy. So all the students will be able to come in and do that and add those notes on that one. Maybe they're doing this one as well in exactly the same style. But then you can see as this lesson down here, one of the other templates is this 6-word summary. Now, this one's been put in automatically, which is a great way just to capture all that learning in one place, particularly these massive projects. But something like this here, there's reflections, 6-word summary, and I can add that one in. Or it might be any of the other exit tickets, summarize what you've learned, share 3 things that you've learned. I'm going to add that one in as well, because I quite like that one. So then they've got a chance to add that within that subject here. So maybe there's a lot of reading, there's a lot of writing, there's a lot of notes, and they want to take that with them later on in the lesson. So this lesson here, if I click on these 3 dots, what I can do now, first of all, I can move it to a folder. Let's do that as well, actually. So I'm going to start a folder over on the top right-hand side. And here I'm going to put history. I'm going to create that one. And then this one here was the first one. I'm going to move that to history. And then move this one to history. Move. And I'm actually just going to open that file now here, because now I've got this lessons. And if I'm only teaching this to one class, fine, I can just use it. But quite often, if we're teaching particularly more like these subjects here, that we're teaching the same lesson to multiple cohorts, what I can actually do is this 3 dots and put make a copy. What this does now is has one for that cohort. And you can see at the bottom down there, it's actually getting another one ready for another cohort as well. So then I can go and rename this one. And this might be, for example, Monday. So I'm going to put year 8 T. No, I. So that's that one there. And then this one here will be a copy of by the name of. But then when it comes to play, I can change that to year 8 G or whatever their form, whatever their class are called. So I can actually rename those. So that's my way of organizing it for myself. That's a way of actually having it for different cohorts within my flow of teaching. But also within here, I've got an ability to share link. Now, with this share a link here, firstly, I can share a link with other teachers so they can put it into their Lumio account just by clicking on that, copy that, and I can paste that any way I want to share it with them, or I can do it for students here as well. So the student link, copy that one, and then that gives me the ability to paste it anywhere. Now, if that's a secure part of your website, if that's in Fireflies, if it's in Seesaw, if it's in Class Dojo, wherever it might be, I can then post that link into the whole class, and then the class can access that one by one. Great for even parental engagement to be able to see what they've done in that as well. And they'll be only be able to interact with it, what that student been able to do in the classroom as well. So I'm just going to open up Teams as an example here. And what I can do is then start a post. Here is the work we did today. Please ensure you understand all pages and have at least 3 notes on each. And then I can paste the link to it there, post it, and then straight away there, the students have got then that link straight away to Lumio. So they can go back into that at any time. I can also add them up the top here if I wanted to as well. So they are available to the students to be able to actually access constantly, as well as in the flow for the main lesson itself there. And then I can jump back into Teams and then, jump back into Lumio, and there is my lessons all there as well. I'm just going to double check I haven't got any questions from there. No, there's nothing popped in the chat, so I'll carry on. So that's a great way of that beginning that project base where a lesson can happen. They can have that content to it. It's saved in my library. So now at the end of that project, they can go back into it and they can see what they did. The other lesson itself was designed at, let's start it in the class, have that content get going, and then come back to it afterwards. And obviously then they can have that link that can continue there. If I just click on that share link again, this is the other lesson, that link will then continue to be live until I click this button here, stop sharing, and now that link is then paused. So that link will continue to be there as well for all the students. So if you're wanting to do this in Microsoft, as I said, or you can even put it into OneNote or anything like that, or in Seesaw or in Firefly, or any other learning platform, I can put that straight within it. It's slightly different if you're doing this in a Google atmosphere. So I'm just going to swap it over and do this from a Google point of view. So here are my lessons that I was using in Google, in the Lumio library there. That's where I got the history lesson one from. Just whilst I'm here, I'm just going to show you where it was. Go down to history here. There they are. And it was this one. And I quite like this lesson. I can preview itself or just save to my library. Now I've clicked save to the library. It's actually going into my library. It's going to appear up in here now. Now I can do the same. Click on that, share link, and I've got these links here that I can share with my learners. I can do it that way. But actually now, because I'm doing it into Google as well, you may notice you've actually got your folders in Google as well. That's a great update. Rather than always having to go into Drive, you've now got the option to do both. But now if I do go into my Google Drive here, all my Lumio lessons are going to be saved within that. And if I just refresh that one, I believe that my history lesson will appear, and it's not quite uploaded yet. But my Lumio lessons are here as well. So for example, this Stress of Science one here, all of these will appear in my Google Drive and I can access those at any time. Google Classroom, which is obviously the way you're going to send it out to your learners anyway. If I just click on this one here, and within this, I can set some classwork. I can create whatever it might be. I'm just going to click an assignment to start with. Title, History with Mr. I'll spell my name now. Mr. Hartwright. Click on my drive because I want to attach a lesson. And then here are all the lessons that I've got already. So maybe I'm just going to click on this music lesson here. I want to then add that one. And please carry on with this composition. So it might be that you've written the treble clef, for example, as a whole class. And for that project, they're having to then put in their own bass clef of it. It might be you've written the first 4 bars, they need to write the next 4 bars, whatever it might be. But I've now got the ability, probably not with history, I'm going to change that to music. I've now got the ability to come in and out of that lesson, and the students have then got this one here. It saves the file within your Lumio account. So when they access it, they're accessing your Lumio one rather than Google making multiple copies of it itself. And of course, for all of this content here, if you're looking at GDPR or any of that, where is this data being stored? Back end, if you sign in with your Google, all of your content is saved within your Google Drive. Let's just click on that one here. So that all of your content is saved in your Google Drive here. And if you're logging in with your Microsoft credentials, then all of your data is going to be stored within your OneDrive there as well. So it's no different than saving a PowerPoint within there. The student's data itself is going to be saved into your account. They just access that file. It's not saved in their own one. So again, the student data is just saved in the teacher account. It doesn't leave there itself. So again, brilliant for that self. So what we've got here, that Google way of approach to it, of I can do it to my classroom, and then I can see that one here. And then within that link, there is the link there to that music lesson that I can access that over time whenever I want to. I can come back into that file as a teacher, as a staff, as other staff, or of course for the student as well. So let's just minimize that Chrome tab and get back into my other Lumio one here. So as a project-based learning, I can start my lesson in Lumio. I can even send it out beforehand, so they're pre-teaching it, they're getting to grips with it. I can do it, this one, right, I'm not going to teach lesson 2, that one's for you to get on with. There we go, that was imported. So I can have these different ones for the different classes, have it in there, and then when I start it again, it's going to start for the students again. So when they go back into the map, which they had at the very beginning, they can see where they went and actually what their difference was at the beginning to the end, and they haven't been able to look at it during the time because that particular one was just for me. Finally, just the other little thing I wanted to see if it was just actually link these two together is if I was to edit this lesson here, I can actually put multiple of these files together to make an even longer project. So I can add in, rather than the pre-made templates at the bottom, I can import a resource from my library. So that was part 2. And what I wanted to do is also put in that was part 1, in part 2 as well. So then what it takes is all of that content, then I can then add that into one lesson. So now rather than having 2 lessons, I can now succinctly put it all into one, and that's going to all come into play there. I have just clicked on import on that, and that's going to take a while to upload, but we have only got a couple of minutes left. So there's a couple of little things that I want to speak to, just kind of finishing off on here. And I'll just have a nod and look at chat, and there's no questions on there as well. So firstly, thank you so much for attending throughout this term. Hopefully these Lumio and the smart ones have been useful for you, and you've been able to get more out of your board, more out of the hardware and more out of the software, and kind of learn a little bit more about Lumio itself. Like I said, we are going to come back on the 11th of January and look at the next step and set up another series from there as well. All of these recordings are put onto YouTube. If you want to know more about those, please feel free to have a look, and it knows around there. Also at the top here, there's lots of other research behind it, lots of other things in there, as well as a community link. If you're not yet a smart ambassador, a Lumio ambassador, and you want to know more, you want to join part of the community, then please click on that link there and you'll be able to see that. I will just put this link in the chat just so we can see it. If I've got my cursor, tap on there, paste, click send, that will go into the chat there, and it's just on the top, there's a training link on the top in there. And then finally, I just wanted to finish off with this link here as well. I'll put that in the chat as well. Lumio is going to bet next year. The beginning, well, it's the end of January. And we've got some really exciting things in there as well. Looking at lots of stuff. There's a little video there just to kind of explain it all. There's a way to register as well as where we are actually on the lounge. And what you'll find is, as well as, I think one of these says Lumio, yeah, there's going to be some really good conversations, a really good tryout of free bits on Lumio. We are actually launching Lumio Spark there as well. So great, coming along and hear more about that. There's lots of EdTech programs, some leadership around there. And we are also releasing a brand new smartboard. I'm not going to say any more than that, apart from its name is the RX. So really looking forward to showing you all that and having part of those conversations with you, with everybody as well. So feel free to come on that, come along to that and invite any other colleagues. And if you want to come to the ambassador meeting there as well, let me know. You've got my email address. I'll send you a link of this recording tomorrow anyway, and we'll be in touch and hopefully meet up then actually face-to-face rather than this way. But apart from that, that is bang on 4 o'clock. So as we started on time, let's finish on time as well. So like I said, this is the last one before we break up. So I want to wish everyone an absolutely amazing happy holidays. Have a great Christmas and a great new year. And I'll see you either at Bet or in the new year. So take care, everybody. See you soon. Bye-bye.